Hello, we're at the Diana Award Social Action Showcase event at the House of Lords. It promises to be an exciting event. I've seen a lot of young people, and today they're going to show the exciting things they do. Stay tuned.
My name's Dion Campbell. In 1999, I was the second young person to receive a Diana Award. I've really appreciated all of the support that the Diana Award has offered me since then. They've been with me throughout my journey, and I really can say that everything that I've achieved, I've really had a supportive network around me through the Diana Award. And that's testament to why I'm really still in touch with the Diana Award and still fully involved. I believe that the Diana Award is an amazing asset to our community and to building a global network of young people who want to do something really positive. When I received my Diana Award, it was for working to campaign against sexual harassment in the community. All these years later, I'm a Commissioner for Sexual Health, and I still continue helping other communities. I'm now involved in the Diana Award mentoring scheme, and I mentor a young person who lives up in Newcastle. It's been a fantastic opportunity for me to share all of the knowledge and skills that I've learned, not only through the Diana Award schemes, but also through all of the other opportunities I've had in my life.
Hi, my name's Binda. I'm a young trustee here at the Diana Award, and I'm going to be hosting today's event. So I received my award when I was a student back at school, and since then the Diana Award have really supported me and nurtured me and grown and developed me so that I can go out there and do whatever it is that I want to do. So I now work for an organisation that helps young people. So ever since I kind of walked through the doors of the award, it's always been there and supported me and really shaped who I am today and made whatever it is that I've achieved possible. So yeah, that's why I'm here today, to tell my story, because we're all here to talk about the social policy, social action, trying to encourage young people to engage in lots of different community projects and recognise those students who have actually gone on to do that. So that's why we're all here today at this wonderful venue, and yeah.
But this is a subject dear to my heart. I think that the achievements of the Diana Award they're actually fantastic. Really powerful stuff. The numbers look great, and it's not just airy-fairy stuff. You know, we like all young people, and it should be lovely. Come by Army Lord and all that. There's actually work done. There are numbers. 40,000 young people actively involved in what I call positive troublemaking out there in the community. Because I really like the idea of social action as opposed to anti-social action. That will be one of the charities that I'll be supporting. But the idea of positive troublemaking is very, I think, a very powerful notion in this day and age. It's young people that are going to change the world, literally, whether they like it or not. I'd like them to change it positively as opposed to negatively. And, you know, things like bullying, you know, I was bullied when I was a kid, and I think one of the most powerful things that you all can do is really kill the notion that being a bully or being bullied is somehow good for the character. You know, it's not. It's actually horrible. It's horrible for both the bully and the bullied. And having the skills to stand up and be countered for the positive is I would argue, if you just do that, if the only thing you do in your life is that, you will have made your contribution to a better world.
Ladies and gentlemen, school children, young people, welcome to the House of Lords. Thank you so much for having us here and celebrating, quite rightly as you said, the achievements of so many young people. My name is Binda and I am an award holder. I'm also a young trustee here at the Diana Award. I received my award in 2004 for an anti-bullying project that I helped set up called Connect, and I've been a part of it, and I keep hearing from my teachers that it's still going strong, and we've got Dion here who is also part of that. So lots of young people who are engaging in lots of fantastic things. So when I got my Diana Award, I didn't quite know why I got it. I just got presented with it in front of all my peers. I didn't know really much about what it was. But as I started to kind of speak to people, talk to people, I met with the team, I really got to understand what the award's really about, and it's definitely about celebrating and recognising young people who are making a change.
I suppose it was 2 years ago when I think it was Nick Hurd probably who said, please would we do a review of what we needed to do in Britain to get many more young people involved, to make this part of an absolute weft and warp of what happened in society. And in that review, one could see that there were reasons as to why not enough happened. Lots of great things were going on, but there were undoubtedly barriers. As ever, the road to heaven is paved with convenient parking spaces, so sometimes it just looked a little difficult. Sometimes when things were tough, leadership's like a tea bag. You don't know how strong it is until it's in hot water. And in some places in the country, not enough was going on. But we also realised that there was a lack of vision in some places, and a lack of progression, and a lack of celebration of what young people were doing. As you absolutely rightly said, young people at times are seen as the problem, not the solution. And it was then that Pat Samuels took me gently by the hand and said, had I taken in quite exactly what an amazing success story, a diamond in the dust, the Diana Award was. And I got involved through her in meeting Tessie and seeing some of the great award winners and understanding how inspirational the programme is that you are all involved in. So I think it's really exciting to see the potential for the Diana Awards, what they can do to grow and inspire many, many more young people. And as part of the Step Up to Serve campaign, we are thrilled that they have set a pledge that they're going to get their numbers up. They're going to get 8,000 young people through this, but they need help to do that. And I think it behoves all of us, as we will hear now from some great young people, what it is that we need to do, as what I think rather unhelpfully Victor said. Where is Victor? Is he potted off to make a House of Lords speech, or is he still there? Victor said I was the older, unacceptable, unfunky face of Life and Times. I think all one can say is I couldn't agree with you more, Victor. But oddly enough, you've got to keep the network going in order to do everything we can to support these young people.
Well, the Diana Award was a big influence, and set me on my social action journey. When I was bullied, I felt alone, I felt depressed, and I felt helpless. Luckily, in 2004, the UK started something called National Anti-Bullying Weeks, and I decided our school had to mark this occasion. There were lots of young people that were suffering, and I didn't want to stand by and see that anymore. So I rather cheekily created a role for myself. student anti-bullying coordinator, and like it or lump it, well, in this case, like it, the head teacher came round, and I was able to do some quite exciting stuff. I was able to turn the issue of bullying into something positive, into something fun, exciting and cool. And we created anti-bullying ambassadors, whose job it was to look around their school, look around their community, and be a friendly face. And these were not just bullied young people. Some of these were bullies. Some of these were young people that used this role as an opportunity to change their behaviour. And we would do very simple things like smile and compliment days. So on a smile day, the best smile in every lesson was rewarded with a sticker, and those sticker winners would go into a prize draw. So in an average school, 365 students on a typical smile day would be recognised for something as simple as a smile.
But I guess the one thing that all our journeys have in common with the Diana Award is that we're the ones leading it. It's about the young people. It's not the Diana Award saying, this needs changing, let's go and do it. It's about giving young people the power, the ability and the confidence to go out there and change things yourself. And I suppose, well, I could quote any number of politicians and philosophers here, but to be honest, you've heard it all before. So you know what, I'm going to quote a post-hardcore band, an Albanian nun. Post-hardcore band, Sleeping with Sirens. I was listening to a song on the tube this morning, and one line really stuck out to me. And it was talking about trying to be something more. And I think that is what the Diana Award is really all about. It's about encouraging young people to try and be more than who we are at the moment, more than who we're expected to be by society, and more than who we ever thought we could be. It's about always going onwards and upwards and achieving more. That's it, that's what it is. I suppose Tessie asked me last night, she said, Ellie, where do you want to be in 16 years? And I said, well, if I'm not running the country, then I'll be running the Diana Award.
So I'm a minister in the government. I don't look it, but I'm also a positive troublemaker. I think if you're not a positive troublemaker and a minister, you're not doing your job. Because part of your job is to try and make things better and create new opportunities. And one of the things I really care about, and why I'm here, not just because it had Victor's name on the invitation. He's still here, by the way, stuffing his face full of cakes at the back. I saw you. Because I want to encourage more young people to get involved in what we call social action. And I'll tell you why. It came home to me so powerfully just a few months ago. I was sitting in a barge on a canal outside Liverpool. It's the sort of thing ministers do. And I was listening to 6 young people tell their story. They're all a bit older than you, but they were telling their story of what volunteering or social action had done for them. Leave aside all the brilliant things that what they'd done with their time to help other people. They were talking about what it had done for them, and they were all brilliant, but 2 stood out. They were both girls, and one girl talked about how they'd taken part in National Citizen Service, but it could have been any other program. But what she said was that getting involved in social action and volunteering had completely cured her of her OCD, which had paralysed her life. And her parents just didn't know what to do with it, but it was that act of stretching herself, finding something in her that she didn't know she had through the process of helping others and getting involved with volunteering, that had allowed her to conquer her OCD, which had paralysed her life. And then the other girl was someone who I think had been bullied at school. She was someone very, very shy and said she had been. But what the experience of volunteering and social action had done for her had inspired her to work with a friend to lead a campaign in her area, which was all about trying to improve mental health services for young people in that area, because she didn't think it was good enough. And she'd led the campaign, and it was something she could not have imagined for 1 minute doing before she'd been on this particular program. And she'd won an award for it. And she was really proud of that award, which is why things like the Diana Awards matter, because it's not just about the doing, but it's also about the celebrating and the recognising. For everything that Vivi said, we read and hear far too many negative things about young people today, and these kind of awards throw a spotlight on some absolutely brilliant activities going on up and down the country. And you know what? More young people are getting involved in social action than ever before. And the generation coming through is showing every sign, as I've said, of being one of the most socially responsible, generous generations that this country has produced for a very, very long time. We should be incredibly proud of it.
What it is we want to open the floor up to some questions because we really want to hear what you all have to say, and we're going to ask our panel here of various experts in their field exactly what you want to know. So I'm actually going to kick off because I've had a question from which we got emailed to us over the weekend from an award holder. So this is the question to the panel, and Dame Julia Coverley's going to chair the panel. So it's open to the panel in any way you want to answer it, but it's a question which came from a young person. So she says, I really want to get involved in social action, but my school is all about grades. How do I go about encouraging my school to work with me to try and achieve what I want to achieve?
Right, the minister's going to have a shot.
Yeah, Julia and I have talked about this a bit over the years. I'll tell you what my honest view is. We've got some way to go to persuading more schools about the importance of this, and I have some sympathy for them because they're under a lot of pressure to help young people get their grades. But I put it this way, and I know the Secretary of State agrees with this, is that actually if you listen to the kind of people who are looking to employ you in the future, actually what they're saying is we need more from young people than just good grades. Because the world in which we're working, which you're working in, is going to demand more than just good grades. And what we know, and what we're arguing, and we're going to win the argument, is that actually participation in these kind of programs do, as you said, do so much to help young people develop the kind of skills that employers are looking for. And not just skills, but very important quality, which is what I've seen come through in every program that I've visited, which is confidence.
So I volunteer full-time in a school for this education charity, City Air. But my question's on getting more young people involved in the politics side of their community, so getting them registered to vote and participating in the general election next year. So this question is probably specifically targeted at the Minister. It's about whether what more can be done to get more young people involved in politics and registered to vote, and making their voices heard on the issues they care about in their community.
That is a really good question. And the scary statistic underlying that question, if you can hear me, is that the last survey I saw of the young people 18 to 24 who could vote in the next election who said they definitely would, was about 12%. And that's quite scary because we can't afford politics in this place to be disconnected from young people. Because what will happen, because we're an ageing country, our politics will get dominated by the priorities of old people, just at a time when we need to be listening to young people more than ever. So determined to try and do something about it. So there's something about encouraging young people to register to vote. So there's a big programme around that, and we're using programmes like National Citizen Service to have that conversation with young people. There's a big thing though about actually registering is one thing, but turning up and doing it and feeling that this is worth your while. That's about helping people realise why it's important and that actually they can make a difference. And that's why I think this is important, because actually every bit of activity that we've seen that's going on up and down the country, encouraging young people like yourselves to get involved in volunteering, is about connecting you with your power to make a difference. You have a smaller way, we'll have a bigger way that like you're doing at the City here, and it's that power to make a difference, that feeling of that we want young people to take with them into the democratic process and into the voting. Too many young people now don't vote because they just can't see why it's relevant to them or what difference it's going to make. But in fact, every single one of us can make a difference. But sometimes actually just this act of social action, getting involved, just gets people on a journey thinking, okay, well, I did that, well, what next, what next, what next?
Hi there, my name's Alex Guest, I work for Barclays. Dame Julia, earlier you mentioned how important it is for these kind of initiatives to come from these amazing young people here and to be driven by the young people that are here and kind of across the country, and I couldn't agree more. But my question is, how can companies like Barclays and others across the country engage these young people as best we can to help that initiative reach its aim?
Immensely important for all businesses now. as we face real challenges forward on. Just being at the National Council for Voluntary Organisations board discussing how the voluntary sector is in tatters. The family centre that has been running for 26 years just shut in Southampton. I don't think I'm mismaking that point. But austerity is tough, and that means that actually we can only make things happen if we work in partnerships across the private, the public and the voluntary sector. And that's why the role that companies like Barclays and KPMG and many others can play is so critical. But they've got to trust their people on the front line, they've got to engage their young people, they've got to make pledges as to what they will commit to do to step up to serve by 2020. Because if we're going to get 50% of all young people involved, we need a hell of a lot more adult volunteers on this game.
You could make social action as important as a recruitment factor as going to Russell Group University or getting 3 grade A's all in maths. So make it core business for your organisational development and recruitment, so that actually it's part of what young people need and want to do in order to get a career, rather than a nice to have. And if you do that, you'll actually recruit people that are different, which would be quite handy, I think, for Barclays right now.
The Diana Award is really about empowering young people to change their world. And so let me start off by saying that, firstly, that the Diana Award is definitely more than just an award. I hope you've also heard that today. It's not simply, I know Dion's in the room. Dion was one of our, the second person to receive the Diana Award. Dion, do you want to just, yeah? She's one of the, so she's number 2. We're now at 41,000 and she's still here, 15 years on. And that's exactly what we're about. We're definitely more than just an award. You see, at the Diana Award, we understand 3 things. That young people have the power to create change. The other thing we understand is that when a behavior is highlighted, celebrated and encouraged, it validates that behavior and reinforces it, and in turn turns it into a habit. And that's what we do. We validate, we recognize, we highlight, and by doing that, we make that behavior a habit. And that's why you have people like Binda who totally changed their, maybe would have gone off to be a doctor, not that there's anything wrong with being a doctor, But one of the things we're really proud of is how young people, we influence their cause, what they end up doing in life as a result of this validation and reinforcing this behavior.
Hello, we're at the Diana Award Social Action Showcase, and I've got with me Lord Victor Adibawale. It's an honor to speak with you this afternoon.
The honor's all mine.
And this afternoon, you talked about how you started from being a volunteer and now you're a Lord.
Yeah, I'm not sure the two are connected, but I started volunteering. I volunteered in a housing co-op actually in Newham, and it taught me an awful lot. And I would recommend volunteering for everybody. Really, it's a good way in. It's a good way of understanding what really happens in your community and in the world.
Yeah. And then you also proposed a new way of thinking for businesses and recruiting young people.
Yeah.
And you said you'd rather, I heard you say you'd recruit someone who has D's. Yeah.
Well, it's the fact of the matter is, if you only rely on academic qualifications, you run the risk of recruiting people with the wrong aptitude and attitude. So for me, employers, and I am an employer, need to balance the academic qualifications and the skills with attitude and aptitude. And there's no better test of attitude and aptitude, particularly in service industries, than someone who has a strong social action background alongside their academics. Now, clearly you don't ignore the academics, but I would rather appoint somebody who isn't a grade A-starred, Russell Group graduate person, but has got a great social action background, because they're more likely to know far more about people. They're far more likely to have a good moral grounding and a good purpose and a good skills grounding, as well as, you've got to be able to count. You've got to be able to, you've got to be able to. But it's and not either or. And I think we should. I think many businesses now ought to see this as core and not a peripheral part of what they do.
So why are you passionate about working with young people in particular?
The reason I'm passionate is because of the amazing stories that you hear from the young people. So the first Diana Awards event I got involved with, my boss says, Alex, we're doing this Diana Awards event and we need some volunteers, will you go down?
And I said, yeah, sure, that's fine. But then as soon as you get to the award and you hear the amazing things young people are doing, some people who are, raising thousands of pounds for charities, some people who are, in their local communities really making a difference, running action groups, people who are tackling bullying in schools. There's so much that young people are doing.
And I've got with me the CEO of Diana Award, Tessie Ojo. It's been such a brilliant day, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been absolutely amazing. Having the minister, having dames, having baronesses, having lords at an event. It's just deeply, I'm so honored to have all these people who are all, totally committed to empowering young people or to social action as the event was about. It's great. I'm happy. I'm a happy chief exec right now.
Oh, wow. And the amazing young people. I had some brilliant stories today.
One of the things I said during my speech was that young people have the power to create change. Now, it depends on society, on how we want to use that change. Do we want them to change positively or negatively? I'm sure you heard Lord Adebowale refer to, social action as positive social action or negative social action. It's our choice, really. Young people can do whatever we want them to do. It depends on what do we want them to do and how do we encourage them and empower them to do it.